So I just finished season 5 of The Boys. Let's talk about it. As far as the world building goes, where are the people, the citizens, the normal folk of America? For the most part, nowhere to be seen. Events that happen in the show feel as though they're contained within a little bubble with no real world effect. And this has such a bizarre hold on the show, where the final season feels smaller than ever. I take issue with this because the final season should feel massive. It was advertised to be a catastrophic worldwide crisis, yet most of the season is spent inside rooms. In all fairness, episode 1 did do a good job of showing Homelander's America with the prison camps and whatnot. Post episode 1, these institutions are never really a point of discussion again. Show us how really terrible it is to live in Homelander's America. Drive the point home of how much worse the situation is than anything before. What are the world leaders' responses to America's new dictator? Like seriously, it's like no other country exists or something. The rest of the world is so weirdly quiet in response to America's new regime. Season 5's world, unfortunately because of this, feels self-contained and less dramatic than its predecessors, which makes no sense when the story should be ramping up. So mid-season is when the show hits a real slump. We spend about 3 episodes with the knowledge that Bombsight has V1. Who even is that? The show introduces these random characters in the final season, which is the quickest way to lose me. Just chucking in Bombsight and Golden Geisha, who have no relevance to the finale, unfortunately takes out any sort of importance to their presence. Why are they here? Why isn't the show focusing on characters like Ryan, who've been built up for 4 seasons, instead of these randos that the viewer has no emotional attachment to? So yeah, a lot of the mid-season episodes feel slow and unhurried, which is the exact point where the show should be gearing up for the endgame, building tension, but nothing ever ramps up. V1 is hyped as the worst possible outcome. If Homelander gets his hands on this, it's GG's. So that's a great hook. Problem is, after he does eventually get it, nothing happens. Butcher's like, run. And you think you're in for this crazy moment. And then the next episode skips that entire part of the story. It just cuts to the next episode and we're back to status quo. Business as usual. Like what? Either it's budget cuts or it's just top 5 trolls of all time. The scene they cut could have been a great opportunity for a tense, scary turning point in the story. The new Homelander, chasing the boys down while they scramble for their lives. Imagine one of them got killed there. That would have been a great upping of the stakes. But no, we just cut to the next episode. Like what? I don't know. For most of the season, Homelander is sitting around in rooms, intimidating people sometimes. He takes the V1 and he continues to sit around in rooms. He's literally activated God mode and does nothing. What was the point in V1 being in the story if Homelander acts the same with or without it? There could have been room for an interesting internal conflict in Homelander, facing his own newborn immortality. It's a big deal and it's just not treated like that. Soldier Boy is a pretty fun character who juxtaposes Homelander's personality. This makes a quite compelling father and son dynamic. However, the rushed way Soldier Boy warms up to Homelander and just gives him V1 is so forced and out of character. It feels like Soldier Boy is just a walking plot device whose personality flips on whatever the story finds convenient. Where was the arc? Unsurprisingly, his resolution is to be put back into a cryo chamber. or whatever that ice thing is. How satisfying. Back to Homelander. His breaking point has been teased for the entire show. It's one of the main hooks that he will eventually snap and just go mental. But he never really does. His singular most heinous act is still Flight 37, which was 4 seasons ago. There's just no payoff to all this build-up. His eventual undoing would have been far more satisfying if he'd actually been doing things during the build-up to the finale. There's just a lack of progression in his character. Sage is just disappointing. Apparently she's the smartest person in the world, but accounts for 0 situations that go wrong. Her whole arc is propping up Homelander, switching sides, helping Kimiko get Soldier Boy powers, and then leaving the story. Okay, like, what am I even supposed to get from this? Ashley's another character who had lots of potential, only to be squandered by nothing ever happening. She's always in 2 minds, which is interesting. She wants to do the right thing, but is too scared to take action. Finally growing some balls in the final episode, she makes a choice to help the boys. And what does it lead to? Her opening a door. Like, I'm sorry, but this is just, again, underwhelming and an anticlimactic payoff for an internal conflict that leads to nothing. One that doesn't cost her in any way or lead to a dialogue or confrontation. Her choice is too little too late. Same thing with Firecracker, really. Suddenly she's given depth in her final episode just to be killed off. Not much to say, unsatisfying. Ryan is also unfortunately sidelined. For someone who should be a main player at this point, his screen time is cut for a future spin-off characters to promote the Vought Rising spin-off. Fantastic. And so much for Marie Moreau. Am I right, lads? I mean, what was the point in Gen V? She was built up to be as strong as Homelander, right? Just to be pushed aside from the main story. One of the many examples of the boys building something up to never do it. It's wild how often they do this. The Deep's end was okay. I like the idea of him meat riding into oblivion, but his fight with Starlight isn't emotionally charged at all. It just kind of happens and then he dies. Could there not have been further dialogue there, knowing Starlight and Deep's history? So about the dialogue, right? Generally not great. The Boys has this habit of character 1 goes through crisis for 1 episode. Character 2 shares monologue about their backstory. Character 1 understands and reverts back to default settings within 1 conversation. The standout examples of this are the conversation between MM and Starlight, the chat between Frenchie and Sage. I hate these conversations. They're so tiring and predictable. No one talks like this. People don't just monologue their backstory. Please stop. I get The Boys is that show that's gonna say anything and do the edgy thing. But do we have to have a raunchy joke in every scene? Holy shit, it is rampant. The most egregious case being Frenchie's funeral, where the writers seem desperate to force cringe, raunchy jokes for some reason. The thing is, it feels uncanny when every single character does this. Like, people don't talk like this. It's like the show is scared of taking itself seriously for too long, so they have to rush in with a raunchy joke. The point I'm trying to make here is, raunchy jokes are fine until they become overused and start interrupting literally any serious moment. As far as the final season goes, A-Train's death is still the standout moment. Such weight and feels like a true full circle character arc. that really could have set the tone for a great final season if we followed that same energy. Generally though, the ending was actually okay, and I liked what they did with Butcher, and I think Homelander's undoing was fitting. I liked it quite a bit. I think the show as a whole is good, with an underwhelming final season. And I wouldn't call this a generational fall off or anything. I think the show just has a lot of issues that became more and more visible towards the end. But what did you think? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? How do you think it could have been better? What would you do instead? Let me know.